सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Om, may He protect us both. May we both enjoy together. May we both exert together. May our studies become brilliant. May we not become disputatious and hate each other. Om, peace, peace, peace. Hari Om everybody. So we are doing the koshas, the sheath, the 5 sheaths which covers the self. That's what is being mentioned. There was once upon a time a man who was living in a village and he brought a brand new car. After a few weeks, he threw a huge party to everybody. Everybody were invited, they were fed very nicely, and they asked, what is the cause of the party? So this man said, oh yeah, I forgot to tell everybody this. You know, today I lost my car, therefore I am giving a party. And he just went off. Everybody were looking at each other very, very confused, saying that this person has actually lost his car and is giving a party. Usually people buy cars and they give a party. He's lost one. There must be something wrong, must be having. After a little while, one intelligent inquiring person asked that man that, I can't understand, how are you throwing a party when you have lost something, when you have lost a car? In fact, in this village it's a big thing. So he says, see, you don't understand. I lost my car. Thank God I was not in it. If I was in it, I would have lost myself. This is, everybody starts laughing. How you can lose yourself? That's what has happened to all of us, if not all. All of us are going through the same thing, routine. Like Christ said, we have sold our souls for 30 pieces of silver. It's gone. We have acclimatized ourselves, identified ourselves with something which is not permanent, which is absolutely temporary. It's there, it's not there, it doesn't matter. We have identified with that completely. We have identified with the clothing. People focus more on clothing rather than character. So nobody is testing the character. Even now, I've met across so many people who look out for alliances. My daughter needs to get married, my son needs to get married. So what is the criteria of a marriage? What is the criteria that girl should come to my house or vice versa? What is the criteria? The criteria is the daughter should go in a good family. Good family indicates a rich family, a few servants, a few cars, a few assets, can take holidays abroad. Everything in the family and the status of the family is considered, except the character of the boy. So if the boy is drinking a little, it's okay, little is okay. Smoking, it's just a little bit is okay. Character is flawed. what he is doing, what is the condition of that person within himself, not the job, not what is his take home salary. So all these focuses are the external covers which we have identified. What kind of clothes we are buying. I am wearing this designer, and we love to announce it. I heard students, some of the students saying they have handbags are lakhs of rupees. It's more to show what are you wearing, whom whom are you wearing, which designer person's clothes are you wearing? What difference does it make? Wear something to cover your body and move on. We have identified ourselves with all the 5 koshas, these covers, and the real essence of what one's nature is discarded. It's ignored to a point of fault. So we are talking about these 5 koshas one by one. The first kosha is Annamaya kosha. We have done this, covered by food, and ultimately it perishes, it ends up as food. Second we have done is Pranamaya kosha, where we have explained already the 5 pranas, prana, apana, samana, vyana, udana, their functions appropriately. Prana taking in the stimuli, apana evacuating the stimuli, samana digesting the stimuli, vyana circulating the stimuli in your physical personality, and udana a little bit of thought absorption, where you can absorb fresh thoughts, keep the mind fresh. So all these functions belong to the Pranamaya kosha. Now we are coming to Manomaya kosha, the third cover. Third cover, fourth cover, fifth cover. There are only 5 covers. So all we have to do is take care of not identifying ourselves with the 5 covers, which you all are doing very nicely, and every day you are studying, so I can see that. I am happy with that. Okay, so let's do it. Chalo, where are we? Inquiry. Yeah, mental sheath. Manomaya kosha kaha. Manascha Jnanendriya Panchakam. What is Manomaya kosha? Mind and the 5 sense organs of perception together becomes Manomaya kosha, mental sheath. So mental sheath, as we have mentioned, it all is one sheath controlling the other sheath. Pervasiveness is called subtler, pervasive of the other sheath. So it pervades. So beyond Annamaya kosha, that which controls the Annamaya kosha is Pranamaya, that which controls the Pranamaya is Manomaya kosha. Again, it is a combination of Jnanendriyas and pranas included. Everything is included. The pranas is a bridge between the physical personality and the mental personality. So for the mental personality to function, Manomaya kosha to function, we have to still focus on the Jnanendriyas. If you are sitting here and trying to listen to the lecture, sitting and listening to the lecture, but your eyes are glued at the person talking, your ears are glued at the person talking, and you're watching. But if the mind is going everywhere else, mind is rotating, it's gone on a chakkar. What happened to my son? I don't know. I hope he's all right. What about my daughter? She's just coming from a divorce. I think everything is all right. All your mind is going. So you're listening. Your eyes are here. Your physical personality is here. Mind is not here. To register any impulse from the society, any perception from the society, you need both these combinations of the Jnanendriyas, eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin, as well as the attentiveness of the mind and the intellect. Intellect will also cover the same thing. If the mind is absent, registration of the perception is not possible. Therefore, Manomaya kosha is what the mental sheath, the mind identifying with the objects of the world through the windows of the sense perceptions of eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. Got it? It's as simple as that, right? So just understand it is the mind. What is the mind? Mind is, we have already done it, just catching it up, full of emotions, various qualities of the mind. Very difficult to control the mind, says Arjuna to Krishna. Is very difficult. And then Krishna says, Asamshayam, you are correct. Mind is very difficult to control. Find out what the mind is. What my mind is. Okay, don't look at the other person's mind. He says, you see, his, her mind or her mind, we love that. Find out what my mind, where all my mind goes as a distraction. What all happens to my mind? Number one, it gets attached to all and sundry. All the things what I have in my personality, it gets attached. Second, it's always anxious about what is going to happen. It's like a rat scurrying, waiting to be eaten by the cat. It's always worrying, oh my God, what will happen? Oh my God, what will happen? Oh my God, what will happen? Therefore, since more people are saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's become Omicron, Omicron, Omicron. Stop saying that, the disease will go away. You're joking, okay? So, oh my God, what will happen? Anxious about the future. Worries of the past. This happened in my life. You know what happened in my life? Who's bothered? Who's bothered? So, the mind indulges in the worries of the past, anxious about the future. Next, it is negative in nature. Negative in the nature is it loves sitting and crying over something, but it will not seek solutions. It loves to sit and cry, and whatever situation you are put in, it will see only negative from it. It doesn't have the capacity to see positive. It's full of emotions. It will see only negative. So you put them in any position. The mind will never understand a problem. The mind will never understand a problem. It has always a tendency to stand under a problem. You have 10 things. Mind will not say excellent work. I got 10. No, it will not say that. It will immediately say that 11th one needs to be done. It will always go ahead because it loves to remain dissatisfied. Why I am giving you all these qualifications is when you look at yourself and when you look at other personality, and don't categorize people around you with family statuses and positions. This is a trick I am showing you, okay? Don't tell it to anybody. This is a secret only between you and me. Categorize everybody. Don't categorize everybody as this is my father, this is my mother, this is my brother, this is my sister, this is my husband, this is my wife, this is my children, this is my guru, this is my student. Don't categorize. Categorize internally. Don't tell anybody, okay? Internally categorize it. This is the mind, this is the intellect. There should be only one discrimination within you. As soon as somebody is impulsive by nature, hysterical by nature, ready to react at every opportunity, understand it is a mind. So what happens is when you understand it is a mind, then you know how to relate. There cannot be any logical explanation for mind. One day, Akbar was sitting in the court. Birbal came very late. He was supposed to come at 11 o'clock. Birbal came at around 2 o'clock. The court was about in session and it was going to be over. Birbal came at that time. Akbar said, what happened? Why are you so late? You are the main minister. We are discussing something important in the court and you are not there. He says, sir, I'm sorry. Next time I'll try to make it done. Well, no, what is the problem? Tell me. What is the thing which can't make you come on time? He says, sir, my child. So what child? I said, got a daughter, you know. Yeah, I know a daughter. Yeah, but so what did the child do? She's very jiddi, sir. So it takes a little time to, appease her and then comes home. How jiddi can a child be? How old she is? She is around 6 years old. How difficult it will be to handle a 6-year-old girl? bring her to court tomorrow. He says, okay. A small cute girl, he gets next day. And Akbar says, Beta, Areva, you're so sweet. What's your name? The girl says, this is my name. Very good. What do you want? I want sugar cane. Okay. Sugar cane leke aao. And Darban went and he nicely removed the cane, this thing, and cut it nicely, small pieces for the child to eat, and he brought it in a plate. She started crying. Akbar said, what happened? I don't want this one, I want sugar cane. This is sugar cane. Said, no, I want the full one. The full one means the full thing. I don't want it cut and all, I want the full one. He said, okay, get the full one. As soon as the person gets the full one, no, I don't want that. I want only this which you have cut as a full one. And she started crying. Akbar understood Birbal's dilemma. It's the mind. There cannot be any logical approach towards mind. So what you do, you can only tell emotion. You know what he did to me? Every time he hurts me, every time she hurts me, enough is enough. बहुत हो गया और कितना रोंगी जिंदगी बड़ी है. They don't want any logical approach. So they will be putting their head around your shoulder, you tap it and you say, Bhagwan sab theek kar dega, daro mat. And they are happy because you need an emotional approach. They don't want, I'll tell you what to do. They don't want that. They want, Bhagwan sab theek kar dega, God will make everything alright, don't worry. This is the mind. When you bifurcate every experience around you with mind, this is the mind, this is the intellect, this is full of emotions, this is logical thinking, and apply your own intellect according to the status around. So if you are addressing somebody who is mind led, then you talk more from the emotional point of view. When you talk to somebody who is intellect led, who is inquiring more, who is questioning more, then address the issue accordingly. It becomes easier. Okay, so this is the mind. It just reacts on emotions, so be it, and negative in nature. Everybody's mind. Okay, so this is Manomaya Kosha. Mind and the 5 sense organs of perception together, Kosha, it is just the cover, mind. Next verse, the intellectual sheath. Vijnanamaya Kaha. Buddhir Jnanendriya Panchakam Militva. Again the same thing. What is Vijnanamaya? The combination of intellect and the 5 sense organs of perception is called Vijnanamaya Kosha. See, so easy. Just definitions. Huh? The same thing what mind interacting with the sense perceptions gives you the sight of objects, the perception. Similarly, mind is there, intellect is not there. So the perception is there, eye is there, mind is trying to focus there, mind is there, but the intellect is not available. It chooses not to be there. It chooses not to be there. So intellect drags your attention away into somebody else and mind follows that. So it is the intellect that distracts. From that distraction, because of a different set of values, what is more important? Is satsang more important, or is somebody coming as a guest in the house who comes regularly is more important? So if the intellectual value systems are misplaced, are different, then the focus goes away from satsang to the friend. So as the value systems differ, the mind also gets fascinated with the newer term and the indriyas are not there. So intellectual sheath is the inquiring sheath, the intellect in everybody. Majority of people, actually there are spiritual masters who are dedicating themselves only to this concept of mind and intellect. They don't go beyond that. Not to blame that they don't go beyond. There is no way to go beyond that because the current generation is such that they have no idea what the intellect is. they mistake the concept of intellect. They mistake the concept of intellect to intelligence. Intelligence and intellect are different, very different. Intelligence is knowledge acquired from external sources. So, if you are listening to this lecture, then you are acquiring a knowledge from an external source. If I am reading a textbook, right, like supposing this book is there, is my book, and when I am written and I have read the commentary of some other Mahatma, and I am just talking about what they have written, whoever the Mahatma is, then it is not knowledge. It has not transformed this person. It is just an information borrowed from point A to point B. That's all. That doesn't make me knowledgeable. This is intelligence. It's a true story. One lady was one of our students, and there was a person who met with the accident, and he expired. So they had to go, they called us for the Tervi, So wherever they sometimes call me for various reasons, I go and deliver some talk. And this person was very, very well known. He was a student for 12 years, Vedanta. So this other lady said, "Sir, are you going to the Tervi?" I said, "Yes, I am going." "So, sir, can you, what is the verse you are going to do?" I said, "I'll go into the chapter 2, probably verse 22 or something, where he's talking about, I am not, I am the Atman and I don't get hurt and by the fire or the earth or water or whatever. So I'm going to do that." Okay, it's a very nice one. And then she went away. I was supposed to be there at 11 o'clock. As is my routine, I usually go 15 minutes before. So I reached there at 10:45. And I found the lady, the same student, our student, on the dais giving her talk, about how she remembered the man and all. And she was quoting the same verse, what I was supposed to quote. So I just laughed. This is information gathering. Meant X amount of people who sit and write. And at the first instance, we feel, oh my God, it's so genuine. Each and every example, each and every quote, everything is written down. But it is just to throw that something else back to the society. There is no transformation. This is intelligence. You open a channel, you get all Mahatmas talking. You can go to YouTube, you can listen to X amount of Mahatmas, and people listen also. They know everything. Sir, I know what it is. They know everything. As far as jargons are concerned, explanations are concerned of Vedanta, they know pit pat. This is all intelligence. This is all information gathered from external sources, which helps me to show off to the society what all I know about Vedanta Shastra or the Bhagavad Gita. It's like children saying, "See, my child is only 7-year-old, but he can recite the whole second chapter by heart. Bolo beta, bolo," and the child start. Stita prajna ke ka bacha samadita ke chavatita dim kim prabhachita kim achita vajeta kim Shri Bhagavan vacha praja. It will go on like a parrot. This is all in, and the child has no idea what it's talking because it's a child. Similarly, parenting of ideas and moving on is intelligence. As far as the world says, "Wow, you know Bhagavad Gita," you are happy. Everybody is like this only, showing off more. Intellect is the control of one's own mind, which is indiscriminate towards a particular channel or goal in life. Intellect is the discriminating power which discriminates between right and wrong, which controls the mind. So intellect has got two important jobs, really two important. If I understand these two important jobs, my life 70% to 80% there won't be any agitations, which is a big thing. Okay, 80% of your life zero agitation. Two jobs intellect has to do. Most important, both are there, both are important. The first portion, intellect has to fix a goal in life. It cannot be a borrowed goal. It cannot be a borrowed goal. Somebody else's goal cannot be your goal. You have to create your own goal. And the goal is a personal ambition. If it is an ideal, it is much better. Ideal is a form of goal based on unselfishness. I want to do this for the betterment of the society. It gives a tinge of unselfishness. It gives the ambition more power. I want to become a great manager. I want to establish a business. Why? Because you want to have a car, you want to have a big house, maybe a villa with a like 6 bedroom and all. नहीं, focus वो नहीं है. Focus ये है. My focus is, if I start a business, in 5 years I have to reach a particular state, especially in this country, where I should give employment to perhaps 100 other people. So the 100 people's employment and their fires in the gas should be from my income, if I can support that. So this is and when you have this kind of a thought, automatically nature will take care of yourself. This is called a higher ideal in life. Intellect should focus a higher ideal. It should be yours specifically based on your talent. But I don't have any talent. Everybody has talents. There is not a single person who doesn't have talent. You will have talent about something. If I don't know what is my talent, then you find out. Keep quiet. Less sound here, less noise here. Keep quiet and find out what that talent is and do justice to it. That's all. When you do justice to that, automatically fix a higher goal and put it into time bound. I want to achieve this goal in 6 months. I want to achieve this goal in 1 year. Now, New Year is going to come. Christmas just went. Have a resolution. In this 1 year, I want to become like this. Physically, mentally, intellectually. So, the first intellect's job is to fix a higher goal in life. And it should be your goal. One person was very, very energized when he heard this story of Laila and Majnu. This is a story by Swami Ramtirtha, so please bear with it. It was said in 1902 in one of his lectures. So he was, that man was so inspired with the Diwangi, with the follow-up of Majnu behind Laila. So he said, I will also get that inspiration, because this man is completely inspired. Majnu is not looking at anything else. He just continuously saying Laila, 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 and is going around. That kind of a passion, what this person is doing, I also want to learn. So what he did, he borrowed a photograph of Laila. Somewhere he got the photograph of Laila. So he took the Laila's photograph in the hand and he went on saying Laila, 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 and he also went on dramatizing the same thing as Majnu would do, crying and looking around here and there, and all the mannerisms were there. Majnu came to know about it. So he came, he took the photograph from his hand and he said, Tu apni Laila dhoon. You have to find out your Laila. Similarly, you have to find out your passion, and each and every passion may be different. Many times, I'll lend you into a secret, many times the passion may look as if it is not practical at all. You think when we started teaching Bhagavad Gita and Vedanta 25-30 years back, and when we chose to be into this kind of a field full time, do you think it was really appreciated by everybody around? These people are escapists. They don't want to work like us. They want to go away. Like Terry Fox in this movie, he says the same people who initially put me away as a vagabond are the same people who are clapping now. Therefore, I can't stop. This is beautiful line. So fix a higher goal in life first, a higher ideal. Live for something. Live for a cause. And when they say cause, the cause cannot be identified with me and mine. It cannot be selfish in nature. I want to take care of my child is not a cause. Every crab takes care of its child. Every ant takes care of it. So if you take care of a child, we are still at the level of the animal only. Animals can't think of others. One species cannot think of other. Even they can think now. There are a lot of cases there, but it's far and few. Human beings can think about others. They can sit and think, what can I do for you? I can see you suffering. What can I do for you? A higher goal. Number one. So intellect fixes a higher ideal in life. Second, it doesn't allow the mind to meander into other things which are not important. Very, very, very important point this is. Because majority of people want to become spiritual. Somebody went and asked Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He said, Master, so many people are praying. You are also praying. So you pray and you get a darshan of Ma Kali. That's the story. You get a darshan of Ma Kali. But in every house I go, whether it is a Hindu or a Sikh or a Muslim or a Christian, there is a photograph of God. In every house, they have a diya or a candle or something or a ibadat, and they are doing namaz. Everybody 5 times a day, 2 times a day, one Friday Navina, all these things are being done. Puja, Path, Diwali, Ganesh Chaturthi. In all religions, everybody is doing praying to God. Then why God doesn't meet them? So much prayer. And this great master said that it's a good question. If only people would feverishly and fervently pray to the Almighty, Almighty will come. But where is the focus? In a year, how many times you take the name of your husband or a wife or children, son or daughter? How many times you remember, your mind remembers them, and vis-a-vis in proportion, how many times you remember God? And then this master says, as much as you remember your family members, as much, not more, as much as you remember the family member, if you remember God only that much, God will come. But then who wants to meet God? We are more interested in what's happening around us. Everything has a photograph of the family. Everything has a photograph. This is me, this is me. This is my husband. This is like, theek hai yaar, hai, sab hai. Move on. Is this life? Be with everybody. But be like an eagle. You have to soar higher. You are an eagle. It's not that you have to become an eagle. Literally, the scriptures are saying that we are all eagles, assuming that we are a sparrow and continue to flying with the sparrow. Without understanding we are eagle. So what's happening? The talent of the eagle is wasted by flying with sparrows. This is the capacity of yours. This is the brain power of yours. This is the talent given to you. What are you doing? The mind is taking away. It's just, aaj ye karenge, kal wo. Even spirituality, it's going everywhere. Today I'll pick up this book. Tomorrow I'll go to that guru. Today I'll go to this ashram. It's going, meandering everywhere. There is no point of focus. So the second quality of the intellect, the first quality is to fix a higher goal in life. The second quality is to maintain that point of focus and not allow the mind to slip into negatives. That's the beauty of the mind, isn't it? My mind can be an asura. It can cry over worries and anxious and negative and everything is there, but it is a very, very sweet kid also. Have you seen children? Of course, you must be having children. So if your children are there, or any child for that matter, parents whole day they sit and cry. The only time they are very happy is when that small child is sleeping. They look at the child when the child is sleeping and mentally they say, she looks so sweet, ma, until they get up, and then the whole history starts again. Until then, this is the mind is a child. It goes into negative, intellect needs to move it towards the better, and this focus is completely given to me. So use your intellect at every given point, start thinking, and once you start thinking, you have come into a great circle where very less people are there. Hardly anybody thinks. You take it from us. Hardly anybody thinks. Even the granthas, even the books, even the newspapers, even the news, whatever you are listening, it's all orchestrated to point out an individual's conditioning and bounce off all the products based on your conclusions. Build up market. So first they'll keep on shouting. It's like aggressive marketing. And then you will say, I want to buy that, because now you heard 100 times. Everything is bounced back, and then that's how society manipulates individual. So one individual gets up and says, we don't have to live like this. You have become different. You know what will happen if you become different? Either if you become too dangerous for anybody, to the government, to the people around, to anybody for that matter, either you will be killed, put into prison, or you will be creating a revolution where other people will also start thinking, just questioning, why is this happening? What is this happening? Just an inquiry. There's this beautiful example which our teacher used to give. The example is a elephant watermark. In a court case which happened in Chennai, there was a case where forged documents were presented, and based on the forged documents the case was going on. One very reputed man who can think, he was also there, and he was proving that the case has no merit, case is false. The other person was there, other side, and he was supporting that the documents and everything is original and perfect. And that person who was proving that the document is original, from morning 10 o'clock to 2, or after lunch also 3 o'clock, he was going on getting one witnesses after another. Do you think when this was signed, when this was done, everything, and this main guy, the other party, he was just sitting there listening, didn't say a single word, no comments, all his witnesses. And then the other guy said, I rest my case. This person, the judge asked, do you have anything to say? Because he's not said anything. Say, yes, my lord. He took that document on a single piece of paper. He says, my lord, if you put this document towards the light, and he gives that document to the Lord, can you see the elephant watermark? In every paper, white paper, there is always a mark, watermark, it's called a watermark. Can you see the elephant watermark? Yes, I can see the elephant watermark, says the judge. My lord, the elephant watermark paper was made in 1934. Elephant watermark, the stamp, was made in 1934. The document is dated 1932. And he gave up the whole thing and walked off. Ho gaya, khatam. That document is dated 2 years before the paper is produced. He won the case. This is thinking. When you open your eyes and look around, this is what we are trying to do. These classes, what are we trying to do? I don't want you to get married to any textbook. Okay? That's not at all the purpose. I don't want you to say that Bhagavad Gita is great, or Bible is great, or Quran Sharif is great, or Guru Granth Sahib. I don't want that. Let's not do it. Let's not compare each and every religion. To each their own. Let it be. What is the focus? Get the teachings from whatever is your grantha, whatever is your book. Get the teachings from that and become a better human being than what you were. So the comparison is only to your past. It has nothing to do with the society. Absolutely nothing to do. This is the intellect. It continues to stay in focus. Wherever the mind slips, it decides whether the mind should be allowed that indulgence or it should be brought back. Everything is by the decision of that superior entity called the intellect. So the intellect functioning through the mind channelizes the mind, functioning through the perceptions of eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin, entertains the world. It is also a cover. So the intellectual sheath, Vijnanamaya Kosha, the combination of intellect and the 5 sense organs of perception is called Vijnanamaya Kosha, intellectual sheath. Next, the bliss sheath, Aram wala sheath. We'll just read this. Anandamaya Kaha. What is Anandamaya? In this way alone, that which is established in ignorance, in the form of causal body, of impure nature, filled with thoughts of Priya, etc., is called the bliss sheath. Anandamaya Kosha. These are the 5 sheaths. Ho gaya. What is bliss? Bliss sheath with ekdam maja, aram se. Ignorance is bliss. Sir, I am ignorant na. Jane do. Ignorant is bliss until you come to know what you are paying for. What you are paying for, you don't know, it is bliss. Tooth pain. Why don't you go to a dentist? Whenever I have something cold, why don't you go to a dentist? Check what it is. Every time you go to a dentist, they will point something wrong. Every time they do that, Therefore, I don't go. Why? Okay, next time I will not have something cold. Ignorance is bliss. Until the pain becomes too much and you go. And the dentist looks into the mouth and says, it's a veritable zoo. Every aspect of life is based on this. Whenever we say this person is ignorant, ignorance looks very nice. Forget it. What do we want to go? What do we want to do? Nothing. Just relax. Every aspect. So, ignorance is bliss. So, what is this ignorance? In this way, in this format, as we follow, one by one level, systematic approach study is Vedanta. In this way, as we have understood Annamaya Kosha, Jnanamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, all these things we have heard, bliss sheath. In the same way, alone, ignorance is alone. There are no two ignorances. My ignorance and somebody's ignorance is the same. I don't know a particular subject, the other person also doesn't know that. So ignorance cannot be different. So it's alone. That which is established in ignorance, that is the Anandamaya Kosha is talking, is the form of causal body. Causal body, the word causal body. So Annamaya Kosha is the gross body. Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha is the subtle body, mind, intellect and pranas. And the causal body is the bliss sheath, that which causes this subtle body and the gross body to act. That is the vasanas. That is the vasanas, okay? Which functions filled with thoughts of priya, filled with thoughts of likes and dislikes. I like this, I will do. I don't like this. Our whole life is based on this. Vasana. How does the vasanas get created? Vasanas cause the personality to function. So when we are talking about living in ignorance, vasanas are the things which make every move. In fact, we are a bundle of vasanas. You would have heard this in Vedanta Shastras, right? We are a bundle of vasanas. We have to understand this, that vasanas are something which are causing this personality, but we don't see it. It is the cause of the very thought that comes into the mind. So if we go backward, we are acting. This is an action. Action springs from desire to act. The desire springs from a thought to act. So action behind, if it goes one step behind, it is desire. If it goes one step behind, it is thought. What brings the thought up? If that thought is there, what brings the thought up? Then this definition is given. It has to be something we don't know, and that is called the vasanas. So many of the books say that vasanas cannot be defined is correct because it precedes the thought. When the vasanas cannot be defined, what makes the vasanas? So intelligently Vedanta says either way, vasanas are coming from your actions in the past. In the past, and then we start getting into past means where punarjanma, many janmas, all the actions is your vasanas. Whatever it is, these vasanas have been developed and deposited by at that time's conscious efforts. Therefore, whatever conscious effort I am doing now can eradicate my vasanas. Okay, so there is also a statement where I say you are not what your vasanas are, you are what your shraddha is. I'll give you an example. If my vasana is to do something wrong, the mind naturally goes and entertains into something wrong. Naturally goes. One thought in my personality is doing good to the society. 10 thoughts in my personality is doing wrong things in the society. Okay, it's just a simple bifurcation. Now, though this is 9 thoughts or 10 thoughts doing wrong and 1 thought doing good, whichever vasana I choose to identify with, that gains power. So if I choose to get identified with that vasana number 1, that to do good in the society, then that gains power, and simultaneously the other vasana loses its energy. It weakens up. So basically what we are saying is, when we take off bliss sheath, which is the deep sleep sheath, which is ignorance, which is full of vasanas, can be tampered. My own vasanas, I am not talking about somebody else's vasanas, can be tampered by my own conscious efforts in the present. Therefore, if you remember in Yoga Vasishtha, we had mentioned this, that there are these 2 rams fighting each other. One is the present conscious effort, whatever you are doing for your evolution, and second, the past conditioning of what I was till this time. Both these rams are fighting continuously against each other, and the ram, which is the strongest, that animal which is the strongest, wins. Usually they say past is so accumulated, no, it wins. No, it has nothing to do with that. It is what kind of power, self effort you are putting now in your present action. I'll give you a simple example. Take this glass. If this glass still here, water is still here, and it is colorless, how much time it will take me to make it colored? One drop of any concentrated liquid will change the whole color of the water into blue or red or brown according to the drop, whatever I put. One drop is enough. Similarly, Vedanta genuinely believes that whatever life we have lived till now, it may be colorless, it may be dull, it may be boring, it may be completely conditioned, all the negatives you can put. What am I going to do from now on can change whatever has happened behind. Thousands of years of darkness present in a particular cave can be removed by one matchstick which is lit. Thousands of years of darkness. So when anybody says so much ignorance is there, so many vasanas are there, don't listen to these people. This is just to make the job more difficult for any spiritual aspirant, saying it's very difficult, you can't achieve it. No. How do you know this is not my last vasana? How do you know? You don't know. Function. Put conscious effort into your, and then continue doing it. And allow the world to be. Don't go on try to change the world. You can't. You may change if those who are listening, those who are interested in the change to make their life better, they will be there. Others may not be. I'll end up with this beautiful story. There's this movie I saw a long time back, and we show it in the children's class and adults class also. The movie is called The Emperor's Club. It's a very, very nice movie. The movie is about a teacher who was very, very genuine. So even it's a big college, and the college, some boys are walking and they have a path which is laid down. One of the boy walks from the grass and goes, So the teacher calls him and says, walk from this pathway. Great minds have walked on this. And this is the way he puts it. He doesn't tell him don't walk on the grass. Walk on this pathway. Great minds have walked on it. So the student says yes. And very, very respected teacher. Very nice with everybody. In that school, one boy enters. And that boy is a big problem. He is against anything which is rules. Against. He starts becoming a revolt. And the teacher takes it upon himself to say, I am going to change this boy. This boy has got tremendous potential and I'm going to change. And he tries educating. Every year they have a challenge called the Caesar, where students are coming and they wear this robe like a Caesar, Roman emperor's types, and they answer questions, quiz questions. This boy also wants to join. In fact, the teacher says you also join, and he helps him. He gives him a textbook to read and everything. And last May, there are 3 people and 3 young boys, and they are answering questions. And he is the moderator. The teacher himself is the moderator. So when he is asking question, he sees that this boy, who is the rebel, whenever he is answering, his answer is perfect. But whenever he is answering, he's just putting his head down like this. And then after 2 seconds, he is answering. So he has some doubt, and then he sees that he has something up his sleeve. So he's just moving his sleeve and he's reading something. So he understood that this guy is cheating. So he fails him. And he is very, very disappointed. And that boy leaves and goes. After around 20 years, 15, 20 years, this teacher has been retired. He is living a very obscure life. Nobody needs him. He is just living there. Still the teacher, but retired. He gets a call from that guy. And that boy says, "Sir, do you remember me? I was the rebel, and I cheated that day." Yeah. And while he's cheating, the teacher asked him, "Why are you cheating?" He's saying, "Because I want to cheat. This is the way I am." After 20 years, he calls, "Sir, when you taught me that not to cheat, you have made my life, sir. Now I am a big person and I have completely changed. And I am calling everybody, all the students, as a reunion after 20 years back, and we are going to have the same program, sir. The same quiz, and this time there is no copying, there is no cheating. I want to win it fair and square, and you have to be the moderator." He is so happy. He sends a helicopter for him. He goes in the helicopter, moderating everybody. He meets him, such a divine personality, wife, 2 children, he's become a big man. He's taken over the father's business, and says, "He's the man who molded me." He says, "Taste to everybody. One change he made me, and now my life is entirely different." They talk everybody, they pull each other's leg, typical friends. Then the 3 participants come again. The same 3 participants who were there as boys. And they start the quiz. And he is the moderator. And this guy now, the rebel, he's answering beautifully. Everybody is answering, but he is like, phat, he is answering. Now I have studied a lot. And then the teacher sees he's got something in his ear. So the teacher looks behind and he sees a person standing behind with a book, and he has a mic. He is giving the answers to this guy. The teacher comes to know he's still cheating, and he fails him again. They meet in a hall, and he's in the men's room, you meet, and the teacher says, "Why are you cheating?" And that boy then breaks out. He says, "This is the way I have lived. And look at me, I am prosperous. What are you? You don't have anything. You're just talking about honesty, goodness. Nothing you got. Look at me, I am so prosperous. With this cheating, yes, I have no doubts about it. This is what I am. My father has molded me like this, and I am happy with this." He continued with his vasana. And he says, "I don't have any problem. I've cheated. And therefore I will cheat, continuously cheat. And now I have called all these people because I am going to stand as a mayor. So I want all these people's votes because they are all important and they will have people whom they can talk about. Therefore I call them." So even he called the teacher for a purpose only. And when he's saying all this, "I have done nothing wrong, I have done nothing wrong," one of the cabins open and his son comes out. He just glares at the father and walks off. And the teacher looks at that man and says, "Try to teach something to the children now. Tell them something." And he walks off. The teacher is utterly crest broken and disappointed that this person till the last never changed. But you know what he finds? A classroom of all other children who used to attend his classes, they have all changed. One person's vasana is like this, they don't want to put any effort, they are where they are. Let them be. But I can change. What I was yesterday night and what I woke up when I opened my eyes today morning, I am a changed person. From now on, that drop of concentration will make life colored. I am not going to think about how I lived, how I cried, what happened. over which I have no control. I'm going to live each day beautifully from now on, promising myself I will never, never, never get agitated in life, come what may. Even if the internet shuts down for 5 minutes, I am not going to get agitated. So what? Big deal. Big problems are there in the world. These are small things. So your mind never gets upset over anything. You are the same, that supreme self, and all these 5 things are just koshas. They are covers enveloping the self. Is the self enveloped? It is everywhere. Self is everywhere. It is all pervading reality, and that is what we are. So we are covered the 5 koshas from these are the 5 covers. If these are the 5 covers, what are they covering? What are they covering? They are covering your original personality, the self, and that is what we are going to teach from next class. So the focus now, assuming you have all studied, so please have a revision in these 7 days of what all has been done in Tattva Bodha till now, because from now on it goes into a third gear. It talks about the supreme reality, it talks about Maya, it talks about the characteristics of the supreme reality. So it will go a little higher. We'll try to make it as enjoyable and as fun as possible. Thank you very much. Oh.